tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Okay, so I'll say I'm a jack of all trades. I like to look into everything, do everything or whatever. So, I initially started Right Way Tax Services in May of 2019. However, I've always been doing taxes. I started out with the big box corporation, whom I will not name. Then I decided that I would start my own business. So once I got my MBA, I just decided to open my own business. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm a mom. I work full time at a law firm downtown. I am still operating my business from home because we can't go out to meet anybody. So yeah, have
And when you
MBA
say
from work.
downtown, for people who are not in Chicago, she is saying downtown Chicago.
Yeah, downtown Chicago. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
In the loop, next to Sears Tower, not Willis Tower. I don't know nothing about no Willis Tower. Um,
It will never. It will always be Sears. I don't know what they're talking about.
yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much me. I mean,
All right. Well, let's get into your presentation. So today we're talking about business entity, taxes, credit, and I would like to also cover the loans because
that's fine.
you gave a phenomenal, like you gave so much information, so many golden nuggets during our virtual community. So I would love to share that with some other people who were not able to join. So
Okay.
wherever you want to start first, if you want to start with business entity.
Yeah, so what I'm finding is I get a lot of clients that come to me who do have their own businesses or are operating as sole proprietors at home. So like one of my clients, he's a videographer or whatever. So I mean, even though you're operating your business, you still, if you plan to grow and this is still going to be something you're going to do on the side, you need to set it up appropriately so that when you do start filing taxes, that you are filing your taxes correctly.
Right.
So a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't know where to start at. So choosing a business entity is not the first place where you start. So basically, you need to come up with a name, and it's fine. You don't have to have this glamorous name, and it could be your name, and that's totally fine. So you also need to decide how you want to operate your business. So we have a sole proprietor as a business entity, which is a person that's just like you or I. We haven't registered our business with anybody. We're not an LLC. We're not a corporation. We're not an S corp. We're literally just operating our business. We fill out a Schedule C self-employment form, and that is also considered a pass-through entity, which means that when you file your tax return, all the liability is passed down from your company through yourself. So the taxes, so you have to pay your self-employment taxes when you're a sole proprietor, and 90% of the risk of you operating your business is through you. So none of the risks fall back on your business. So if you were to ever have any issues with the client or to be sued by a client, the client will come directly after you because you don't have an actual business set up.
Right.
So, and that's okay. That's fine. There's nothing against the IRS rules that say you can't be a sole prop. A lot of people are operating as sole props. The only other thing is because I live in the state of Illinois. So in the state of Illinois, when you have a sole prop, it's much harder for you to file state taxes because your business isn't registered and they can't tell whether you're eligible to pay self-employment tax, to pay other taxes that are due to the state. So what usually ends up happening is you file a state return and then the return is rejected or held up because your business isn't registered in the state of Illinois. So that's the thing about sole prop independent contractors. So then next you have a LLC. So I have an LLC. I've registered my business with the state. I fill out the application to be an LLC, and an LLC is a limited liability corporation. So basically, that too is a pass-through entity. However, if I were to have issues with the client, they could sue my business, and then my business would be at fault for whatever's going on. So all of the liability would not pass down through me. So with an LLC, you still fill out a Schedule C form because that also is a pass-through entity. However, you're not responsible for self-employment tax. So that's a self-employment tax is something when you start working your way into an S corp, corporation, or a limited liability partnership. Even a partnership, sometimes you have to file self-employment tax just because you have more than one person in your company. You guys are creating something together, so that's usually how that goes. Mm-hmm. So the main purpose of creating these entities is so that you can report your taxes correctly.
Right.
So one of my things is I usually advise my clients with S corp, you do have to pay self-employment tax. So if you have an employee who's working for you, you have to pay self-employment tax, which goes on the Schedule SE, and it gets reported to the IRS, as well as you have to fill out additional tax forms that gets reported to the state that you reside in. Sometimes, depending on what type of business you have, if you are in the business where you sell goods, so if you manufacture T-shirts, if you're selling cups, or if you're doing like your party poppers that you sell, you know you got to pay sales tax on those things, right? Yeah, you got to charge sales tax. So all of those forms have to be filed with the state of Illinois. So they need to make sure that you're paying the appropriate taxes with those. With corporations, their tax forms are a little bit different. Those are not pass-through entities. So you fill out a different tax form. You're required to have a board. So that's like you and maybe 5 other people. And then the recording for establishing a corporation is totally different. So when you have a corporation, you actually have to have meetings where you record minutes. Now, I've seen people start a one-person corporation, which is not really a corporation. It's more of an S corp. But when you have those type of entities, you are required to record meetings. So if you're a single person S corp business, you have to have meetings. So you're figuring like, okay, well, I don't have any other board members. Who am I meeting with? You're meeting with yourself. So when you sit down to brainstorm about things for your business, you write that down. You keep a record of it, the date that you did it, how long it was, what you discussed, and those are considered your meeting minutes. Also, with the corporation, you don't have the flexibility to make as many decisions as you would if you were your own sole proprietor, LLC, or whatever. So basically, you will have to go to the board. You guys will make decisions, and then the business is ran basically through the board. So the responsibility is not totally yours, it's the corporation's. Then with the corporation, the liability is solely on the company. So you don't have to worry about if you mess up something. Most likely the clients will actually go after the corporation, which is why you see a lot of class action lawsuits where people may sue Walgreens for something that a Walgreens employee did. That's how the corporation stuff goes. Another entity that a lot of people are getting into is partnerships. And a lot of partnerships I'm finding is like with like truck driving companies, people who are owning salons, barbershops, beauty shops, nail shops. So those people decide to partner up together to run a company. Now with a partnership, again, you are not making all the decisions. You and your partners have to decide what you all are going to do. The only thing with a partnership is your taxes are basically done in 2 ways. So you have to file your company taxes, and then you also have to file an individual tax for each partner that's on there. And then they fill out a different form. So their forms will be Form 1065, and then they also have to fill out a form, a 1040 with the Schedule C attached. So you have your business taxes that you have to file, and you also have your individual taxes that you have to file. Now, what I want people to understand is that with a partnership, liability could be passed down to you or your company. So a client could come after you or your company. And if one individual partner's liability is worse than what the company has done, the client could come after you personally. So one person is probably more responsible than the other partners in the partnership, but everybody has to be taxed separately, and then the company gets taxed. Mm-hmm. Another thing I didn't mention about corporate setup entity, the corporation entity, mm-hmm. is that that is a double taxation. So when you set up corporations, you will most likely be paying taxes 3 times, actually. So the way it works is the corporation pays a tax. And then you also pay a tax when you file your tax return. So you'll get the K-1 form. Mm-hmm. You have to file that. And then any dividends that get distributed to any of the partners in the corporation is also taxed. So you have to pay taxes 3 times on that income when you have a corporation. Wow. So I always tell people when you're starting businesses, especially for small business owners, the best thing to do is to decide what's good for your situation. Mm-hmm. So, and you can always elect to change your entity type. So once you elect to, so basically, I'll backtrack a little bit. When you fill out the form with the IRS to get your to get your EIN number, mm-hmm. they ask you to elect how you want your company to be taxed. At that particular time, if you don't select an election, which is to be taxed as an S corp or a corporation, they will automatically set your company up as a disregarded entity. Hmm. And a disregarded entity just means that it is considered a sole prop. So all of the taxes pass through you. So you fill out the Schedule C form. You can elect to change that if you want to. You fill out the proper forms, you have it changed, and then you can be taxed as an S corp. But just keep in mind, if you're taxed as an S corp, you have to fill out the Schedule E self-employment form. And if you decide to do the corporation, you'll have to do the same as well. So there's like more responsibility when you have an S corp and a corporation versus you setting up sole prop or LLC.
Mm-hmm. What made you decide to select LLC?
I selected LLC for a couple of reasons. I just wanted to separate myself, mm-hmm. my company from my personal. And that's a major part. So when you're out here trying to apply for these business loans, you're out here trying to get these grants, people need to know that you're separating yourself from your business. Mm-hmm. So when you go to set up these businesses, they need to know that you have a viable company that's out here functioning totally separate from whatever you're doing with your personal. So you can't be the only investor. You have to have your own business credit report separate from your personal credit report. And I tell people that all the time. Just like there are 4 credit bureaus for personal, you have 4 for your business. And that's what helps you to maintain and grow business credit by keeping yourself separate. If you don't keep yourself separate, then it's not as appealing to banks when you go to get loans or you try to go get credit cards. And when you start to establish vendor credit, you have to have some separation. And it's also not good when you start accepting money, because I am a big no money laundering type of thing. Keep your business separate from your personal. Right. So that's why I decided to set up an LLC, because my hopes is to expand this business. I'm also offering bookkeeping services. So I want to be able to keep my personal separate from my business. Mm-hmm.
Let's also throw in there that checking accounts should be separate as well, please.
Separate checking accounts is what I was talking about, the no money laundering thing.
Yeah.
So I do have a client that I had picked up, and he was very excited about starting his trucking company, but he was paying everything out of his personal account. And I was like, no, sir, we can't do that. So I need you to start paying everything out of your business account, because you have to create a portfolio. Mm-hmm. And you have to show profit, and you also have to show losses if mm-hmm. you have any. So your bank statements is what separates the business stuff from the personal stuff. So mm-hmm. you shouldn't mix your money. I do realize that sometimes, people are starting to start their businesses and they're not sure what they want to do, what banks they should use. I have an awesome list of things that people can do. So if they contact me on social media, we can talk about those things. There are a lot of banks out here that don't charge as many fees for startup businesses. So like that's the route to go if you're starting, you're on the ground, you're just starting up. You're not sure what your income is going to be for the business for the year. So you want an account that doesn't charge you all these fees, because if you don't have income coming in, then the bank is just soaking up, all of your money because of the fees. So yeah, it's 100% important to keep your business separate from your personal. Bank accounts, credit cards. If you have a company where you need to use gas cards, all of that needs to be separate. 100% separate. So you are correct.
Well, I learned the hard way. I'll be completely transparent. And I did mix in the beginning. And I did have an S corp for years. And last year is when I did LLC. I'm like, this has to be separate. I had a business account, a business banking account, checking account. Started maybe like 5 years ago, and it's been the best thing just to have everything separate. You know what's going in, what's coming out.
Exactly.
Like you said, you're not mixing money. So I bank with Capital One, Spark.
Okay.
Super easy to use, but I'm sure there's obviously many more out there. I did start with Chase. We just gonna leave that alone, and then Capital One is where it's at for me, at least.
Yeah, so Capital One is definitely a good option for startup companies, small business owners, any type of business, because the Spark card is a good startup card for a lot of small business owners. It also has a very low interest rate, and then it's better than. So I always like to say, get a credit card and don't take out loans, because once you take out the loans, the clock is running. You have to pay that money back. With the credit card, it can sit on that card as long as you're not using it. And then you don't pay it back until you start swiping the card. But with the loan, whether you use the money or not, the next month the payment is due.
Right.
So I always think that credit cards are the way to go. However, if you have a little patience, you can start creating what is called vendor credit. And vendor credit will allow you to establish business credit without using a personal guarantee. And a personal guarantee is basically you using your social security number to fund this business to apply for credit. So we're small business owners. We don't want people running our personal credit to start these businesses. We want to hit the ground running. So there are a list of companies out here that will give you vendor credit. All you have to do is register, give them your email address, and boom, they give you $1,000 out the door.
That's a great gold nugget that I didn't know about.
There's other companies that'll give you $2,000 out the door. All you have to do is sign up. One of the companies that I did use, you have to pay a $99 annual fee. But what's $99? I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my company. So I'm going to pay this $99, and you're going to give me $2,000 worth of credit that's going to be reported on a monthly basis to all of the business credit bureaus. So why not?
Right.
Why not apply to these people that are going to give you this business credit running out the gate so that you don't have to worry about establishing it? So you start with the smaller vendor credit companies, and then once all you have to do is order one or two things once a month, sign up for Net 30. So for those who don't know what a Net 30 is, it's just the payment term. So Net 30 means that you pay the invoices within 30 days. As long as you pay that invoices within 30 days or before your 30 days, they report to the business credit bureaus on a monthly basis. Some of them might not tell you exactly when they report. Ask them. It's okay to ask. Say, hey, what credit bureaus do you report to, and how often do you report? You have Experian for business credits. You have Credit Safe for business credit. You have Duns for business credit, and then there's one more that's out there. I can't think of it right now, but they all report to business. Those are the business credit bureaus. So what you want to do is reach out to these companies, get your EIN number, Reach out to these companies, apply for this credit, order you a printer, order you a case of paper. They got peanuts if you want peanuts. They got granola bars if you want to order granola bars. Anything you need for a home office. They got chairs.
Wow.
I got my little nice chair ordered, got it, got my chair. And then pay it within 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you establish some vendor credit. And once you can also, so like when I started my journey with the vendor credit, I was like, I don't need these credit cards. I don't even have this type of business. So what? It doesn't matter because I have a gas vendor credit card. I have 2 of them. Guess what? I need to use my card to get to my clients. So go and give me that vendor credit.
Right.
And once you establish this payment history with these companies, you can move on and establish vendor credit with bigger companies who are going to give you more money. Amazon, Office Max, Office Depot, whichever one is open. You can do Sam's Club. Those are like the tier 2 vendor credit companies. But you start out with the smaller ones who are going to just give you money just for having an EIN number. And then what you do is you just keep maturing those accounts. You order something like every 30 to 45 days. You don't even have to order every month. They don't give you a price limit on how much you have to order. You can make the smallest order possible and make sure that you're paying out of your business account. So make sure you set your business account up on these websites as well. Make sure that you're using your business email address when you're setting these things up. Your business telephone number is also very important because when you get to Duns and Bradstreet, you're going to need all of that information to set up those accounts. You're going to need the EIN number. You're going to need a separate address. Now, some people will tell you, well, I can use my own address for my company. You can, but if you want to establish this credit, I'm going to need you to get a virtual address.
Okay, tell us about this virtual. You keep talking. I'm going to get my notebook because these are serious jewels, okay? But tell us about this virtual address. Please.
So what a virtual address is, you pay a company to use their address, their brick and mortar address, so that your business can have a brick and mortar address. Virtual offices, you can pay on a monthly basis. There are some out here that are as low as $12 a month, all the way up to $120 a month. So you sign up with these companies. They allow you to use their address. You can receive mail there. There's a receptionist there. You can receive phone calls there as well. Some of them will allow you to come inside their facilities to rent and or schedule office space so that you can meet with your clients. So it's a really good professional look. So if you have a home business and you also have a virtual office, when you have new clients, you want them to come somewhere nice, right? You want them to see that you actually established. You want them to see that you like in a nice building. So you rent you a virtual office. And then when your clients come, what you say is, come down to Old Park and, park your car. We're going to validate your parking, come upstairs to the 6th floor. And guess what happened when your client comes? It's a receptionist right there. Receptions get on the phone and say, Miss Wright, we got your client at the front desk. Can we send them back? And then I'm going to get on the phone and say, I'm with a client right now. Can you give me 5 minutes? But I ain't with no client. But, that's how you have to sell yourself. So a virtual office is just an awesome thing to do. It's what you're going to need in order to establish real business credit, because you can't use your home address when you want to go and search, for the big business credit. So as you pass the baby credit, you get to the teenage credit. And then when you get to the adult business credit, you basically need to have a brick and mortar. Because they need to see that you're not operating out of your house. They need to see that you have, somewhere else that you're doing business. You can't use your cell phone as your business number. Get you another line. I got some gems on that too, girl.
Okay, so I use Google Voice. Who do you use?
Okay, so I use a company called Sideline. Now, let me tell you something about Google Voice. It's not a recommended business line to use.
Okay.
And doing my research, for some reason, a lot of these companies, especially Duns and Bradstreet, do not like the Google Voice. There's another one, I think it's called Void, VOID. They don't like that one either. Okay. And then for your website. They don't like GoDaddy either. And I
Mm.
don't know why, but this, like, they have strict rules as far as like what they consider to be professional and business
Mm.
like.
Okay.
So I found Sideline. It's $10 a month. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally an app that I downloaded to my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I get to choose my business number. I put my logo on there. I can text from that line. I can answer the phone from that line. I have pre-recorded voicemails that I put up for that line. And it's considered a listed business number.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing you want to do is your business number has to be listed in 411.
Mm.
So in order for you to start applying for that adult business credit, you need to be on the 411 list.
Got it.
So those 1-800 numbers that people be telling y'all to get, you can't put that on the 411 list.
No.
You know, it's okay to have a 1-800 number, but you need to have you a number that you can list on the 411 thing, so that they can find you. So that's how you get to the big business credit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've been, doing a little research about the business credit. I've actually established some business credit. I'm ready to move on to my teenage credit. Yeah. So, I'm going to give myself a little bit more time before I do that. So basically, I'm hoping to have at least $50,000 in business credit within the next 90 days. So that's my goal. That's what I'm pushing for.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Okay. Those were great, Jules. Thank you for all that.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about these loans.
These loans.
EIDL, did I say it right?
Yes. Okay, so with the EIDL loan, so with that one, you can still apply for it on the SBA.gov website. It's in like a little tricky place. It's under the agricultural business link, but I promise you, if you click on it, you'll get to the regular EIDL loan. Now, here's the thing. You have to have your social security number and or your EIN number. So for all of my people who have 10 numbers, and you can't apply with an ITIN number. You can't do that. So if you don't have an actual social security number or an EIN number for your business, you can't apply for it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to necessarily have a business name. You can put your name in there as your business. You can be a sole proprietor, independent contractor. You can be a LLP, LLC. They don't care what the entity type of your business is. You put that information in there. You need to put in what's your gross earnings from either the end of last year or starting January of 2020. You put in how much you earn. They need to know how many employees that you have. You also put in your bank account information just in case you get approved. Just in case you get approved for the loan. And then they basically just put you in line. So a portion of those funds, and I want people to understand this because a lot of people are out here applying for these loans. Like I was seeing a young man on Facebook the other day, and he's just like willy-nilly out here applying for these loans. But what people don't understand and realize is the loan is only forgivable if you use the funds to cover payroll, utilities, rent for your company. Now, you cannot write off 100% of your rent and utilities. Only 25% of those funds can be used for rent and utilities. Only 25%. The other 75% has to go to payroll. And it has to be used within 8 weeks from the date that you get the funds. So if the bank releases the funds today, you need to keep track of those payroll, utilities, and rent expenses for the next 8 weeks. And you need to be able to have it documented somewhere. You need to have a credible payroll system. QuickBooks, Waves apps is another one that I like to use because it's 100% free.
I love Waves.
You can use an Excel spreadsheet if you need to. There's plenty of free templates out there on Microsoft Word. You just Google Microsoft Word templates and type in payroll. I found an awesome one, the other day. It already has the federal tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax. It's already calculated in there. It's a formula-based document. All you do is type in your information, and it calculates the payroll. So you need to be able to have something because what's going to happen is at the end of this term, the SBA is going to come back to you and say, hey, now it's time to submit your documents. And any portion of the documents that do not get approved by them, you will have to pay that portion of the loan back at either a 1 to 2% interest rate over the next 2 years. With the PPP loan, that is the payroll protection program. So that's also for small business owners. A lot of the large corporations, as we saw over the news, were getting like $10 million, $8 million, $30 million. You know, even the company that I worked for, they were also get, you know, money for payroll protection. And that works the same way. So with the PPP loan, the payroll protection part of it is a little bit different. So you still have to record your payroll that you're doing for 8 weeks, but it also includes funds that you may have to pay for employees who are on FMLA. And they're on FMLA because of the coronavirus, and it's due to a multiple things. So one of the reasons is because you have a family member at home who has tested positive for COVID-19, and you need to take off of work to take care of them. Or the FMLA payroll protection funds need to go towards an employee who is at home and can't return to work because they don't have child care. They don't have adequate child care to watch their children. So at this rate, the company can use a portion of those PPP loans to go towards payroll protection in that instance. They too have to record the payroll. They too have to do it within the first 8 weeks afterwards. A lot of the companies are using it to get their employees to come back to work. And so the struggle with that is if you've already applied for unemployment, right now unemployment is at an all-time high. You know, they're getting paid big bucks. It's raining. Girl, it's raining.
That's a good point.
It's raining dollar bills for unemployment people right now. So why would you go back to work? You know, why would you go back to work? But in order for your company to get that loan forgiven, they have to show that they've actually paid payroll. They too can only use a portion of the loan for utilities and rent. A problem with that is a lot of companies have closed, so you don't have any rent to pay.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation.
Yeah, so with the PPP loan, the EIDL loan, I strongly suggest that small business owners apply for both.
Okay, that was my next question.
There's no harm in applying for both. I just ask you to be very honest and transparent about how much that you need, because in the event that your paperwork is not in order and you cannot give these banks the documents that they need so that they can prove that you actually allocated those funds to what they were supposed to be used for, whatever portion that they do not deem forgivable, you will have to pay it back at that 1 to 2% interest rate over the next 2 years. So don't be out here trying to get that money to go out there and turn up. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Get your money.
Or to use for marketing, which is what I would want to
You can't use it for marketing.
I get it.
You can't use it for marketing.
You told me a couple weeks ago. I get it.
So let me tell you this, because people going to apply for that loan, and they going to do what they want to do with the money, okay?
Right.
I'm not making any suggestions. I want to put that out there. I'm not telling you what to do with the money. Because you're going to get that money and do what you want to do with it, okay? All you need to know is when the bank comes, you need to have proof.
Yeah.
Something in black and white that the money they gave you, you're using it for what you told them you were going to use it for.
Right.
Again, I am not telling you to do nothing you ain't supposed to do. But I realize when you get that money, you're going to do what you need to do. Just make sure that your documents match whatever they requesting that you need.
Agreed.
And it's a lot of softwares and programs out here that will help you fix all those problems. That's all I'm going to say about that.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
If you all have any questions at all about any of the amazing information Keiona has shared, please feel free to type down in the comment box.
I just got one more thing. So
yes, no, please.
let's talk about this stimulus check. For those of you who have not received the stimulus check, and I'm not talking about SSI or SSA recipients, I'm not talking about anybody that's a veteran or anybody that receives any funds from the government as their monthly income. I'm talking about people who have filed their taxes and have not received the stimulus check. So there's an article going around, and you'll even be able to find this information on the IRS website. So basically, they're telling you that you have until tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wait,
you have until Wednesday noon tomorrow. I don't know if it's Central Standard Time. I don't know who time it is. But you have until noon tomorrow to go on the IRS website. And
let's say Eastern, just to be on the safe side.
Okay. So Eastern time, and get on the Get Payment app to update your bank information. So this is what I'm going to tell you. Wah, wah. That's not true. This is what's going on.
What?
Okay. You can go on that thing. You can click on the Get Payment Status thing. You're going to enter your information. If you are not eligible to enter your bank information, they're not going to allow you to enter your bank information. You'll get an error message that says, one, you're either not eligible for the stimulus payment, or they do not have enough information. So the system is updated every Tuesday. Well, they tell you if you get on there before Tuesday, that the following Saturday, you should have an updated status. So if you go on there today, enter your information, you don't see anything, then check Saturday to see if there's been an update. If you go on there and they allow you to enter your bank information, check again on Saturday to see if it has been accepted. The problem that I'm finding is they tell people to go on there. You have until Wednesday to get your stimulus payment direct deposit electronically. So that because they're going to start shooting out these paper checks like crazy. The problem is everybody isn't eligible. They don't allow everybody to go on there and update your bank information. So you probably still will receive an error message. Just know that if you continue to receive the error message, one or two things is going on. Either you have had past due debt for the past 2 years, so you've had an IRS balance that's past due, and I know that they told you all, oh, you can owe the IRS, you're still going to get your stimulus. That part is correct. However, when you actually owe the IRS, it takes them a little bit longer to process your tax return so that it sits in the system long enough so that your data can actually be in there so that they can recognize it. So if you owe last year, if you owed in 2018, and even if you owe when you filed your taxes this year, there's going to be a holdup. And I've been telling my clients that 9 times out of 10, you'll receive a paper check just because you have a balance due. Another thing is just that they just may not have your information. If you just filed your tax return yesterday, I don't care if you go on their website and try to enter your information. It's not going to allow you to do so because you've already processed your tax return. If it's already been accepted, you'll most likely also get a paper check because there's no way on God's green earth that they're going to have that system updated in time to process a direct deposit stimulus payment for you if you just did your tax return today, if you did it any day this week. There's no way that they're going to be them processed it and released it because they tell us it takes 21 days for them to release your refund. So it's going to take about that much time for them to actually record and store your data into the information system in order to put you in line to receive the stimulus check. So I don't want people to get weary about that. Just make sure that your information on your tax return for 2019, if you have not filed, is correct. Your mailing address for one. So if you're using grandma address and you don't stay with grandma, your check going to grandma's house. If you're using an old address that you used to live at because you and your boo stay in the same house and y'all both filing head of household, that check going to your old address. So let's try to fix those things. And the sad part about that is if you are using your old address, the check is going to the old address. And if it doesn't get returned, then what'll happen is you'll probably have to wait until next year when you file your taxes to recover that stimulus payment. So I don't want people like getting scared, getting weary. The checks are coming. It looks like they're just getting tired of people with the direct deposit thing. The system isn't updating the way that they say it was. It's not functioning completely. People
No.
are still getting the same error messages. It doesn't mean that your tax preparer stole your money. It doesn't mean that it's in their bank account. It just means that your tax return wasn't processed in enough time so that it can store in their database for them to actually update it to issue you an electronic payment, which is why it's good to file your taxes on an annual basis.
Right.
And for people that close their bank accounts, you know, you're going to get a paper check if that account is still not open. So I know everybody needs their stimulus, but these are things that we just have to be conscious about and be patient. There's still a lot of SSI and SSA recipients who haven't received their stimulus as well. Found out a bunch of good information about that yesterday. There's a whole big thing going on with those cards that those recipients have and the contract that they had with the federal government. So those Comerica Bank that issues the debit cards for the Direct Express debit cards for all of the recipients who are on SSA or SSI. Basically what happened was, what is that lady's name? Catherine Warren. Is that her name? Am I saying it right? She's running for president now, but they filed this big class action lawsuit against the Comerica Bank, which is the person who controls the Direct Express cards for all of our SSA, SSI veteran recipients. And the issue was that their contract had expired shortly before the stimulus payment was released.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So because the contract had expired, there was alleged fraud being done with the company. People were making complaints saying that they weren't getting their funds. And then the bank was basically like disregarding their complaints. They weren't replacing the people's money. So here we have a class action lawsuit. Yes. Well, because their contract was just renewed in January of 2020, the stimulus payments, by the time they got ready to release them, the contract and everything that they had to update their system with the Social Security Administrative System, that's why these SSA, SSI recipients were put last on the totem pole. They had to get the contract together. The system had to be updated. Your information had to be reloaded, which is why we had a bunch of deceased people getting stimulus payments.
What?
You got, a lot of people who are deceased receive stimulus payments, either their spouses, loved ones, the last known address on file, the last bank account that's on file if it's still open. They all receive the stimulus payment.
And they're going to have to pay that back as far as like the family?
Oh, yes. The family is going to have to return the money. So you will be liable. And that goes for anybody who received an overpayment on your stimulus. So there's a couple of stories that I heard where people got more than what they were supposed to get. Be happy now. Just know that when you file your taxes next year, they're going to take all that money back. So if you got an extra $500, they're going to take that extra $500 out your taxes next year. If you got an extra $1,200, you're going to have to pay the $1,200 back. And so ball out today.
You tell them about the people who get shorted as well. They're not going to get that until next year.
Okay, right. So if you received your stimulus payment and it wasn't the correct amount that you received, once you receive your letter in the mail from the IRS, because you are going to eventually receive a letter stating how your stimulus payment was calculated, what you need to do is call the number that's on the letter. Let them know that you did not receive the correct amount. They're going to keep your information in the database. It will be recalculated, and then you'll recoup the difference when you file your taxes next year. So, unfortunately, you will not be receiving additional check this year. Yeah, that's the sad part about it.
It is.
Because people need their money, so.
Okay. Looks like So, what I'm going to have to do is reconnect this. So it's gonna kick me out, y'all. So if you can, please come back on. Wait, hold on. I'm not sure if you went over this, but for sole proprietor, LLC, or corp, do you suggest making your quarterly tax payments or wait until you file your taxes? And again, if it's cut off, which it looks like it will, please just rejoin. But go ahead.
I definitely recommend that you pay your quarterly taxes on time. Here's why. If you decide to pay them at the end of the year, you will pay a higher tax. Your taxes will actually be taxed as self-employment income, which is at a higher rate. So instead of 22%, you're looking at 32%. The only thing is if you file them quarterly and you feel like you don't have enough income to pay taxes on, no harm, no foul. You submitted the paperwork, and if anything changes, then you just update it for the next quarter.
That's a great question. Okay, let me ask you. Let's go back. There's not any other questions, but again, feel free to ask as much as you want, as many questions as you would like. And we are going over, but this is such a great conversation.
You're welcome.
About all of this. Let's ask you, how did you get your start?
How did I get my start? Yep. Oh, wow.
How did you get your start with your business? Like, how did you start your business? And what was your biggest business move? To like, really, like, I am here. This is working for me.
Okay, so, I was going back and forth. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to step out and do this on my own because tax season is very stressful. However, I feel like I deal with that type of stress a little bit better because I'm an adrenaline junkie. So it's pretty much like the stress is overwhelming, but it's what keeps me going, you know. I never knew that this was going to be like my field to go into. I have an undergraduate degree in psychology. Like, I don't have any undergrad accounting classes. I tried to steer clear of those. I was just like all those angles and hyperboles and all that stuff. Like, it just wasn't my thing. So there was a tax company like not too far from where I live at now, and I had just had a son, and I was like, well, let me go up here and take this class. It's right by the house, give me something to do. And I really, really like preparing taxes. And then when I got in the office, the clients that you meet, they're just so wonderful, and you just have this wealth of knowledge that you want to share with people. A lot of people don't understand that their W-4 form is imperative when you start filing your taxes. I cannot count how many W-4 forms are being improperly filled out. And they're being improperly filled out because your HR department is not necessarily explaining to you the purpose of filling out the W-4 form. So a lot of people are coming in there saying, well, I put 6 down, but you're filing your tax return and you only have 1 person. So where are the other 5 people at? This is why you owe taxes, So I feel like HR departments need to do a little bit better in explaining that. So as I got into it, I realized that people need to be educated about their taxes. And they're sitting at my desk and they're just on their phones. And I'm like, hey, excuse me, let's talk about your tax situation. And the more information that you learn and you give people or whatever, the more your customers feel better, they come back. Mm-hmm. So I actually worked for that company for like 16 years. And I recently just left last year. It's not H&I Block because I don't like H&I Block.
That's what I was thinking.
It's not H&I Block. It's that other one, the red one, So,
I won't say the name.
And then I was like, well, things had got to a point to where the economy was changing and clients were just like, why am I still paying so much to get my taxes done? I've been coming to this company for 20 years. And even though we tried talking to the ownership about like getting loyalty company customers a set flat rate, it just wasn't working out. And I realized that I was training myself because they prepare you to do individual basic taxes. We had a client that walked in that store. This man owned 4 rental properties. My store manager could not prepare his tax return. I had to go in on my off day. You hear me? On my off day. To help her. On my off day. To help her prepare this man's taxes because they just don't train you for that. So when I realized that I was investing more in helping this business grow, I was like, scratch that. I can do what you're doing. I can educate my clients, and I cannot charge them so much because it doesn't take that much. It doesn't cost that much to prepare a tax return. So I am preparing tax returns as a business because I'm hoping to make this my only income so that I can leave corporate America.
I heard that.
But I'm more concerned about educating people on their taxes. There are a lot of tax write-offs that our business owners are not taking advantage of, and they need to know that it's out there for them.
You need to do a class on that.
Yeah, I can get that together. There are also a lot of things that our Uber and Lyft drivers are just not taking into consideration as well when they file their taxes. So I can't tell you, I can count on one hand how many tax returns that I've done, and people like, I owe every year. But when they come to me, they don't owe because I do my research. I do my homework. I know what's deductible. I know what you're afforded for your tax bracket. I know what your exemptions are. I can look at a W-2 and tell you, just by looking at the W-2, how much your refund is going to be. I can give you an estimate by eye because I've been doing this for so long. I'm so passionate about it. So I was like, Keiona, once you get that MBA, it's time to go, baby.
I heard that.
It's time to go. So I graduated. I got my business degree. Call coming through. Okay. Yeah, I got my business.
And sorry, Keiona. We'll have to wrap up by 1:00 too.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was I thought of a name, created me a logo. I looked up my name to make sure nobody else has it. So that's a whole nother thing. Because if somebody else has your name, they can send you an NDA and force you to stop using that name. So I looked under USPTO to see if it was trademarked. It wasn't. I also went to the LLC with the Illinois Cyber Drive website to see if the name was also taken. It wasn't. So at that point, I actually applied for my LLC. Then I applied for my EIN number. And then I got the logo and all of that stuff together. And then I just started from there, creating me a website. When you have a business, it's research. You have to invest your time. You have to invest your money. You have to do everything that you need to do to be successful in this world, even if that means following other boss ladies, other boss guys, other people in the industry that are a little further off than where you're trying to be. You have to follow these people. You have to see what they're doing. You have to get on YouTube, research, find a budget, figure out what works for you. There's a lot of people out here filing taxes. So what separates me from them? My work productivity separates me from them. My tax knowledge separates me from them. I'm not going to mislead or missteer my clients. I want us all to succeed. And then if Amazon is paying zero taxes, we can pay zero taxes too. So I'm trying to get us to that point. Amazon don't pay no taxes to the federal government.
That's a whole other topic.
So you can do it too. You just have to set your business up correctly. We haven't even got to the point to where you can hire your kids and pay them something, and that's a tax write-off. If you hire your kids, as long as they're 7 years old, you can hire your kids on your payroll. That's a tax write-off. Health insurance, tax write-off. Dividends, tax write-off for your company.
Okay,
so we have to get into those things.
You have way too much knowledge. Obviously, we need to continue this discussion. And, we do our virtual community events there every month. So I would love to have you on as a speaker for that.
Okay.
So we'll discuss. I mean, you've been a phenomenal support for Lady Boss Roundtable. Really, truly appreciate that. She's our platinum sponsor. She's just amazing. And as you can see, she has a wealth of knowledge. So let me just ask one more question, and that is, what are your top 3 tips?
So
what are your top 3 nuggets you can leave for the people, for the audience?
So my top 3 tips is to research. One, that's your top priority. 2, make sure that you're not entering a business where the market is saturated. Obviously, I've entered a saturated market, but however, I market my business a little differently. So if you are going to enter a saturated market, you need to make sure that you know exactly what is going on with your business. Also, invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself and know that this business is not going to grow overnight. It's not going to grow overnight. You're going to, it's going to take some time. You're going to shed some tears. You're going to lose some money, but you have to invest in yourself, because if you don't gamble on yourself, who else will?
Mm-hmm.
So I strongly suggest that you research your target market. You might have to change your target market. Invest in yourself. That's the most important thing you have to do, is invest in yourself. And my other thing is, because I am in the accounting world, let's not money launder people. Let's keep those personal accounts separate from your business account. If you need help finding out an interest-free bank account, no-fee bank account, hit me up on IG, Facebook at Wright Way Services, taxservices.com. I can help you get with a bank that doesn't charge you fees. You don't need a minimum balance. All you have to do is have all your paperwork together. So there's ways to get this done. There's ways to get it done.
All right, Miss Lady. Do you have an offer that you would like to
I
share?
do have an offer. So for all of my people who are on here today, or actually view this live between today and I guess the end until July, I am running 50% off of my tax preparation services for your 2018 and 19 tax return. I am also offering 25% off of my bookkeeping services from now until the end of December. So and I'm doing free 15-minute consultations if you just want to speak to me about how to get your business set up. You're not sure if you're on the right track. I'm also doing 15-minute consultations regarding your W-4 forms if you're just not sure how that goes. People can contact me and we can discuss all the W-4 stuff if they just need advice on how to format and how to get their LLC off the ground, how to get that business credit established, what's the correct entity type for your business. I am available.
And I'm sure people will be reaching out to you. And I'll be in touch.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right. Have a
Bye.
good day. Bye.